It has been 2 years since Among Us was actually a popular game people talked about. It was quite possibly one of the worst times in human history. Everyone was posting videos about Among Us or using this dumbass sound. Every single comment on every single video was sus. But since then, it's kind of died down. Not many people talk about Among Us really anymore. Among Us VR just released, and that game's okay.
Guys, Among Us, Among Us, Among Us.
But no one's talking about Among Us like they used to. So I decided to re-download the game that made the world go crazy in 2020 and see how it's doing 2 years later. I made a short about this topic about 4 weeks ago, and 2 million people saw it, so I thought I might as well just make a full-length video about it. I had to enter my birthday. Now, I wasn't really paying attention, and I assumed that Among Us was for children, so I put that I was 5 years old. This is the worst idea I've ever had. Among Us wanted me to ask for a parent's permission to play this game. Now, obviously, I don't need a parent's permission, I'm 20 years old. So I decided to spoof it and just send it to my own email, but that wouldn't work, because Among Us wanted me to provide them with either my credit card number or my social security number to play this stupid ass fucking game. This game is locked up like Fort Knox if you're under the age of 18. Why do you need to confirm my identity? This is Among Us, not the Pentagon. I just decided that I was going to play Among Us as a 5-year-old. There's a couple of stupid ass things they've added to Among Us, like the quick chat feature, which in my video, people expressed how much they hated the quick chat feature, which I think is completely fair because it's ass. Among Us provides you with a couple of prompts that you can use to talk to people in the game, but most of the time it just doesn't work and you wind up typing some stupid shit like this. You also can't change your name, so I was stuck being well Meadow for the whole entire time that I played. Bottom line, if you're too young to play this game, just don't even get on it because you can't do jack shit. They also decided to add leveling and prestiges in this game for some reason. This is just the craziest thing I've ever seen. Why does Among Us have leveling? Why can I be prestige master in Among Us? Playing the actual game was kind of exactly how it was 2 years ago. I will say that they've added different roles besides just crewmate and imposter. There's like a detective kind of character or like a healer or something like that. You know, I don't really know what's going on, but they definitely changed it up a bit from the last time I played. The core gameplay is exactly the same. You do your tasks, and if you do all your tasks before the imposter kills everybody, then you win. This is kind of why Among Us died off in the first place. There's really not much to it besides that. I guess the developers of Among Us thought that if they added leveling and stuff like that to the game, people would be more inclined to keep playing, but it's literally a party game. I mean, maybe if I was in 3rd grade, I could go to lunch the next day and say that I'm level 400 in Among Us, but then everybody at the lunch table is gonna laugh at me, because nobody plays this game anymore. If you're gonna play Among Us, you should try Among Us VR, because I tried that game and it was actually pretty fun. And even though it is the same formula as Among Us, it feels more fleshed out than this game kind of ever was, just because it adds a new layer. You play in VR, there's proximity chat. Why doesn't this game have proximity chat, by the way? Among Us is gonna need to pull something out of their hat quick if they want this game to not just die and fall into oblivion. Among Us VR is a step in the right direction, but they're going to need to do more for the 2D original game. Listen, I don't hate Among Us. I think it's a decent game. It was a great idea back in the day, and it obviously did very well for itself. But like, they need to do a little innovating. If they really want this game to be something that people talk about years from now and not just in a nostalgic sense, and I'm not just talking about some new hats every 5 months. At the end of the day, 2 years later, Among Us is exactly what it was 2 years ago. They added the occasional new thing, but nothing that really makes me want to get back on Among Us. Among Us VR, on the other hand, though, definitely an innovative idea, and well, it's just like I expected it to be.
This is all.
Please
Hey,
start the
I like your
game.
hat. I like your hat.